Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, yeah, I didn't open mine.
Yeah, it opened. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another amazing week of Case Files with Kat.
And Ashley.
Woo! And we're drinking bubbly today.
Yeah. It's good.
Is it?
I think it's good.
It's good. It's fun. It's called
different. I haven't had it in a can before.
Since it's, the holiday season, we are drinking, it's called Bev, I guess.
Bev Glitz.
It's extra dry, extra fizzy, bubbly white carbonated wine.
It tastes kind of like champagne, though, to me.
It tastes like bubbly wine.
Yeah.
11% alcohol. Ooh.
I like the Herald approved.
I know. It's female founded, made with California grapes, and Harold the cat approves. It has a little picture of a cat.
Yeah.
It's really cute. Not bad for 11%.
Yeah.
It's a little tiny can, and let's see how the end of this episode ends up.
It'll be all right.
That might be the most we've had in alcohol by volume. In one can. Come on. In one can. On the show.
Oh, on the show, maybe.
Yeah.
I was going to say a lot of those stouts are like 13%.
Oh, yo.
You guys, I always talk about the games here, and then I added to it today, and I'm sorry. It looks like there's been more additions.
Yes, there have. And if the wizard could hear you, he would be like, God damn it, Ashley.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
for his Christmas present, which we've postponed, this china cabinet is actually going to disappear, and we are going to put another set of shelves for his games.
Oh, that's so wonderful of you.
I'm such a good wife. That is his Nero spicy obsession of late. So I'm just making room for it. Just making room.
I wish you guys could see all of the games in this room.
In just this room, because there's more in other rooms. But yeah, I would say we're nearing. I think we've overtaken 300 games.
Nice.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to play a board game, that guy reads all the rules, so you don't have to.
Okay, so you say this, and I'm going to tell this story real quick, and then we'll get into... Yeah. My sister-in-law messages me, because my brother and I play video games. He plays Dead by Daylight. For those that don't know, that's like you're a survivor, and you get chased by a serial killer, and the whole point is to survive.
Ooh, wow.
As the survivors, you turn on generators, you get to the door, you exit, the serial killer can kill you, whatever. It's just different serial killers. Okay, that's the premise.
Whoa.
Very basic premise. You just need to know that serial killers are involved. My niece is 5, okay? My sister-in-law says, your brother has been letting your niece watch Twitch streamers play Dead by Daylight, and she just came up behind me with her toy knife, laughing at me all in a manic manner, and then later in the day told my brother to put on her favorite show, and by favorite show she meant so she could watch Dead by Daylight players. I'm like... She's going to take over the podcast for us one day or be in prison. One of the two. She'll be on the...
Either she'll be a story or she'll just take it over.
She's a little weirdo and I love her. But yeah,
wow.
She just runs around the house now with her little toy knife. Runs up behind people.
And you made fun of my son. Let's see. I got it.
I did make fun of your son. I love his drawings.
I know. He does really awesome stuff. Okay.
Anyways, so that was my little news. They'll probably kill me for telling that on the air, but... I just love it. Anyways, guys.
There's no identifying information.
If you're still with us, thanks. We'll get it together eventually. Okay, so if you have nothing else, I guess I'll just... Okay, so I covered this story in season 1. However, we don't have our season 1 live for a number of reasons. We were... just on a radio station that had ads that don't make sense anymore. We were on time limits, so we were kind of rushed. So I'm redoing the story. I'm sure many of you have probably heard this story, but maybe not all of the updates. And I've put a few of the mini theories of what happened into this one because there are so many online theories. Okay. God, I swear to God, I don't ever have to burp until I get to this damn podcast. I don't know what it is.
Nerves. You guys make her nervous.
I don't know. Where's my other support kitty?
I don't know. They're kind of hanging out.
Okay. Brian Shaffer was born February 11th, 1979. He grew up in, oh my gosh, guys. I lost my place already. Two sentences in. I'm going to start over. Brian Shaffer was born February 11th, 1979. He grew up in Pinkerton, Ohio, and he was the oldest son of Randy and Renee Shaffer. His brother was named Derek. Brian graduated from high school in 1997 and then started college at Ohio State University for his undergraduate work. He was trying to become a doctor. Originally, he did graduate with a degree in microbiology. He was very studious.
His undergraduate was in microbiology. Oh, wow.
But he was just very studious, a very good person. He wasn't into drugs, nothing like that. So following that, Brian began his studies at the Ohio State University College of Medicine in 2004. His friends would state that while a career in medicine was in his future, he desired a more laid-back lifestyle. He played music. He really, really loved the band Pearl Jam. He kind of wanted to live like this island life. And he had a dream of starting a band, living on the island.
Love it.
Just like he would say he wanted to live like Jimmy Buffett is what he would say.
Just doing medicine for fun to pay the bills.
So during his second year there in March 2006, however, his mother passed away from a very rare form of cancer. And this was really, really hard on him because he was so close to his mom. Like, she was his hero. And so her passing away was really, really hard on him. At this same time, like during this time, he was involved with another medical student named Alexis Wagner, and everyone, including Alexis, thought that Brian would be proposing to her in 2006, most likely on their upcoming trip to Miami that the couple had planned for April. Now, mind you, this trip was planned before his mother passed in March. On March 31st, classes at OSU ended for spring break. Brian and his father, Randy, decided to celebrate this occasion. They had a really, really nice steak dinner that evening. Brian's father noted that he seemed really exhausted. He said that Brian...
This was after his wife and his mother, Brian's mother, died.
This is like later on in March. Okay. They're kind of celebrating the spring break. Like Randy wanted to take Brian out for dinner. They go to this really nice steak place. He said that Brian seemed really exhausted. Brian said it was from having studied the night earlier and for the whole week cramming for the critical upcoming exams. Brian had mentioned to him that he was going to go out drinking with a friend, but Randy did not think that this was a good idea. He thought that, he seemed so tired, like he should have probably just gone home, but he didn't express this to his son. He didn't want to seem like controlling, his kids in college, like, he can make his own decisions. He was going out with what was considered his best friend, William Clint Florence. Now, in some interviews, they call him William, some they call him Clint. So if you see those two names, they're the same person. And Alexis would tell investigators later that Brian had called her and around 10 at night, 10:30, somewhere around there, and told her that he was really looking forward to their trip. Now, their trip was only like 2 or 3 days away from this night, from the steak dinner. Like, they were supposed to leave April 2nd, so like 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
At 9 p.m., Brian met up with William at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, which was a very popular bar amongst the college students.
I mean, the name alone.
Yeah. The Ugly Tuna Saloona. It was a bar in the South Campus Gateway Complex on High Street in Columbus, Ohio. An hour later is when Brian called Alexis, who had returned home in Toledo to visit with her family before her and Brian went on their trip. That's the call where he told her that...
This is like 10:30.
Yeah, okay. Where he told her, I'm so excited about our trip. Hope you're having a good time, all that stuff. Brian and William decided to go bar hopping. They visited several other bars, and they worked their way down to the Arena District. And William would later tell investigators that at each stop, they had just one shot each.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did they verify that he was at all these places? I mean, this is early 2000, is that what you said? 2000. So were there cameras at all these places?
I don't know about all the places, but there was footage of him at the last bar
The last bar.
Yeah.
Okay, just not the in-betweens.
There may have been, but the focus was on the last one that he was seen at.
Yeah. Okay.
So at midnight, Brian and William met up with a friend of William's named Meredith Reed. Now, she was, like I said, a friend of William's. She offered to give them a ride back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. And that's where they had started the night, and they kind of been drinking, so they didn't really want to walk. So this car ride, they were like, yeah, sure, let's go. So they get back to the bar, to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. And she says that they got there around 1:15 and they were drinking. Now,
this is the place that they had footage.
This is the place where this is where they started the drinking night. This is where they were at last call. And I'll talk about what is seen on camera here in a second. So they spent at least an hour here mingling and watching a band perform. Brian had separated from Meredith and William while the three of them were there and was last seen on the security footage outside of the bar just before 2 a.m. The camera showed him re-entering the bar after he had been seen chatting with the two women. So it said that he was outside around 1:55. He was talking to these two women. These two women, when they were interviewed later on, claimed to not remember anything that was said between them, but they remembered everything before, like all the places they had gone before and what they did after, but they claimed they don't remember anything that Brian said to them. Also, they said that Brian had gotten their numbers, which I think is weird because he was super in love with Alexis, like going on a trip, planning to get engaged. Like, it didn't really make sense. But he's seen going back into the bar. So at the bar, there's an escalator that you take to go down into the bar. Okay. Or up into the bar, down into the bar. Excuse me. Up to leave, down to enter. When he goes down the escalator, it says that the way he turns doesn't necessarily suggest that he went back into the bar itself, but he did take the escalator back down. Oh, okay. It doesn't show him leaving the bar is all they're saying. And the two women are definitely seen inside the bar again. So according to his brother Derek, once seeing the footage of the night from the bar, nothing really seemed off at all. It looked like he was having a good time. It just looked like he was listening to the music, talking to people. However, Meredith told investigators that at one point, Brian and William had gotten into an argument, but she couldn't hear what was being said because of how loud the band was. She did say it seemed intense, though. So according to Meredith, Brian and William got into this fight. It seemed really tense. Brian separated from them after that. That's when, like, she said this argument happened earlier in the evening. And that's why they were separated, because Brian was basically trying to avoid William because they'd had this argument. So that's why a lot of people say, why would you leave your friend behind? Why wouldn't you know where they are?
They were fighting.
They were fighting. Now, Brian and William attempted, according to Meredith, to find Brian. They repeatedly called him. They left with all of the other people at the bar when it closed. They waited outside for him but didn't see him. When he was not among the people leaving, they assumed that he had returned to his apartment without letting them know. On April 1st, Alexis tried calling him but did not get an answer. The calls were just going straight to his voicemail. Now, she didn't initially think this was strange. She knew he'd been out drinking. She thought, well, maybe he's just sleeping in, had a late night. But on the morning...
Also leaving the next day, so you eventually wake up.
Yeah. But she just initially, didn't think it was that odd.
Okay.
On the morning of April 2nd, she reached out to his father because she was coming back from Toledo or whatever. The flight was April 3rd.
Oh, okay.
On the morning of April 2nd, she reached out to Randy, who had not heard from him either. Randy went to Brian's apartment and found it untouched. His car was there. His bed was made. His medical books were neatly placed on the shelves. The next day, when Brian failed to show up at the airport for his flight to Miami with Alexis, that's when the police report was filed. So he went missing technically the morning of April 1st. Mm-hmm. He wasn't reported missing until April 3rd. The authorities quickly became involved, and Brian was officially listed as a missing person. So the search started with friends, family, police. They searched the entire surrounding area of the bar where he was last seen. They retraced his known steps. They checked hospitals, homeless shelters. There was a construction site near the bar. They checked all of that. They checked the shores of the neighboring river. And the police had even gotten the city's approval to check the sewer systems. Nothing. Canine dogs, couldn't get a scent of him anywhere, not even in the bar.
Question.
Yes.
Not even in the bar.
Mm-mm. They couldn't find a scent of him.
So that's weird. Okay, so he went down the escalator. You said the way he went didn't necessarily imply that he was going back into the bar. What did it imply?
So I'm about to actually talk about that right now.
Okay, well, great question then, Pat.
So again, the city allowed them to search the sewer system. Nothing. The canine dogs searched the construction site behind the building. Couldn't find, like, the construction site was pretty much right behind the building. There was construction on the building itself. Canines did not smell anything. The cadaver dogs did not smell anything. Now, Alexis would say in later interviews that they made and hung missing posters, people posters everywhere. They checked every dumpster. They looked up and down the river. Early on in the investigation, the security footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloon was uncovered. And as I mentioned, he was standing out the side of the bar talking to those two women before re-entering around the 1:55 a.m. mark. Now, there were security cameras at that exit. However, none of them ever saw Brian leaving again. Okay, so this was like the main exit, the only exit that people at this bar were supposed to use.
Okay.
There was a service door, however, not generally used by the public, that was a short distance from where Brian was last seen that investigators say he could have used. Now, that is a possibility of where he went when he went down the escalator. The exit led to the first floor hallway, which featured access at that time to a construction area with its own exterior exit. However, police and the owners of the saloon said it would have been extremely hard to navigate this area, especially while intoxicated. But that it wasn't impossible. It's just that because of the construction that was happening, to also be intoxicated on top of that would have made it very difficult. And they also don't know why he would have chosen to take that as the exit when he was literally just out in front of the bar.
He was already outside. He could have just walked. Yeah.
So, but they did say that is the exit didn't have a camera, so that would have been the only exit he could have personally have taken.
But if he was so intoxicated, is he really thinking, oh, I better not let a camera see me?
Right.
You know.
So Detective Jessica Cooper had told in an interview to E! News that the cadaver dogs did not definitely pick up any traces of Brian there or anywhere else near the bar. On top of that
seems so crazy. That just seems so crazy.
On top of that, they checked the security cameras at all surrounding and nearby bars. There was no footage of Brian walking down the sidewalk, walking in front of these bars, walking on the street, leaving the bars. On the side with the construction, there was one camera that would face like the construction site itself, you know, because there's equipment and stuff. And so the camera would pan the area constantly. And then there was another camera that was operated manually. So like by motion. And so the investigator said, while it is extremely unlikely, it is possible that Brian somehow got off this exit and was able to make his way out in between those two cameras connecting, like where they just, that small gap of time where those cameras would have missed him. But they say like that is so unlikely because you would like, yeah, he's intoxicated. He's probably has not been back here before. It's a construction site.
He probably doesn't know that there's two cameras that do the sweep.
Right. So investigators have said it's also possible that Brian could have changed his clothes in the bar or put on a hat and kept his head down, hiding his face from the cameras. Again, though, no cameras in the area caught any glimpse of someone even resembling him. And where would he get these clothes to change? Or this hat? In one of the theories, I'll talk more about them later, but one of the theories was saying like, or they said that, you know, when you go into a bar, they count how many people are coming in the bar and how many are going out and stuff. So the number of people going in and the number of people coming out was less by one.
Oh, wow.
So that would have accounted for
Okay,
Brian.
is there like rafters that he could have gone into? Did someone take him upstairs? Some hidden.
At the original time I did this story, there was a theory that he was buried at the saloon.
I mean, that just like if he didn't leave, there's no footage of him leaving, going home.
However, when I was doing the research, I could not find that information anywhere about the part where he could have been buried.
Interesting. I remember that.
Yeah, that was like a big part of it. And I don't know if like I just couldn't find it again, but I looked because that lots of sites.
Like that was
one of the big theories that he was buried somewhere on the property.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyways, so again, no cameras got even a glimpse of anyone resembling him, wearing a hat or otherwise.
It just seems so weird.
Yeah.
That seems so weird.
Yeah.
He literally just disappeared.
Yeah. There was a part of, or there was a piece of time where investigators were like, well, are you sure he didn't he's grieving his mom and he's just needed time? And everyone was like, he wouldn't just leave like that. He was going on a trip with Alexis. Anyway, so at the time of his disappearance, they interviewed over 100 people, including the bar staff, the band that played that evening, and the 2 women he was seen speaking to outside of the bar. No leads and no answers came from those interviews whatsoever. Months had passed by with 0 leads about where he could be. The detectives working the case even briefly thought that he may be a victim of the smiley face killer, who was said to prey on intoxicated college-aged men in the Midwest. However, they quickly ruled this out. The investigators did start receiving tips, but pretty much all of them were hoaxes. Alexis would call Brian's phone every single night for months, and it would just go directly to his voicemail. However, 6 months into his disappearance, one night she called it and it rang. She said it rang about 3 times. And when the authorities reached out to the cell phone company, they learned the phone had pinged a tower in the nearby town of Hillard, which is about 14 miles away. The cell phone company, however, says that was a glitch. Oh. So my thing is like, how is that a glitch? So I would understand if the phone was on and it like back in the day, it could have pinged a bad tower or whatever. I mean, a different, technology wasn't great. Like it was a simple flip phone. It didn't have GPS on it. I could see it pinging a random tower, but the phone has been off for 6 months and it just suddenly rings. But they claim that what the sound she heard wasn't ringing, but it was a computer glitch within the company.
Wow, that's okay.
I don't understand, but that is how
what you heard. Okay.
That is what they explained it as. The phone wasn't ringing. That was a computer glitch on our end. Okay.
Okay.
But it pinged off a tower in a town 14 miles away.
Okay.
I don't understand it, but that is what they said. So later at that same year, remember I told you he was a huge Pearl Jam fan. Yep. At a Pearl Jam concert in Cincinnati, lead singer Eddie Vedder took the time in between songs to ask for tips about Brian. He explained what happened, about the disappearance, and he asked if anyone knew anything to please come forward. However, none of the tips that came in proved to be useful.
Bummer.
The detectives investigated everything that came in, though. Possible sightings were in Michigan, Texas, even Sweden. Randy never stopped searching for Brian. I mean, nobody has ever let this case die, even today. Like online, internet sleuths and stuff, they're still all about this case because it's so bizarre.
It's really bizarre. So, especially because there's no scent of him. Like we leave scents.
Yeah.
If you're sitting at a bar, I mean, he must have touched something.
I don't know if it was because there were so many people in such a small space.
Maybe he wasn't there long enough.
But yeah, they
said only 30 minutes,
Yeah. So Randy never stopped searching for Brian. A psychic he consulted told him Brian's body was in the water near a bridge pier. So Randy and Derek, along with other citizens who had become very interested in this case, bought waiters and spent so much of their free time along the shores of the Olentangy River, which is it flows through Columbus, adjacent to the campus, to where the Ohio State University campus. And so they would go up and down this river and never found even anything, like nothing at Brian's, nothing that could hint of anything. Randy would always keep his optimism up during these searches. And a year looking for Brian, no one had used his cell phone to make a call. No one had used his credit cards to make a purchase. But still, Randy refused to give up. He figured the best way to find Brian was to remind the world that he was still missing. And so he courted the media constantly, trying to do interviews, submitting stories. There was a website for Brian. He would chat openly with reporters. He would cry on TV, like anything he could do to get people interested in his son's case.
Did he feel like the police were doing enough, or was there conflict?
I mean, it's hard to find where some of these theories come from, where they originated from, but some of them were that it was a police cover-up because there was missing footage. There was...
What footage?
Like footage went missing. And other things. But when I would try to look up like where this came from or whatever, it was just more theories. So I don't want to say a definite, but
I mean,
you know, you've heard of police investigations in other cases. So, so most, honestly, we know that in many investigations, it's the work of the friends, family, strangers.
Yes.
That solve the case. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not saying all investigators are bad. There are lots of that are very dedicated and take it very seriously. But many don't.
But they need help. Too. They need the community to come forward, witnesses to come forward.
And during that time, there was the smiley face serial killer. There were so many other things going on. So, and Hurricane Katrina had just happened around that time. So the media kind of
didn't.
He got overshadowed by Hurricane Katrina. So there was a lot going on. So I'm not saying it was just the police that didn't do a job. There was just so much going on. So Randy refused to give up. Like I said, he was always trying to be in front of the camera. He would wallpaper the city with missing posters. He organized vigils and searches. He befriended the parents of other missing children. And with the help of the Crime Stoppers President Kevin Miles, they persuaded the Ohio legislature to pass a missing adults bill that established statewide protocol and detectives in cases such as Brian's. Before the bill, each case was handled at the discretion of detectives, and some families felt it was like just kind of haphazard. There was no set way to handle a disappearing adult. As you know, they won't even let you file in many cases a missing persons case on an adult until a certain amount of time.
Right.
And so that's what they were trying to do, is change the law so that they would be searched, so that there was a protocol of what to do when an adult was reported missing, and it got passed.
They didn't report though for a couple of days, and it seems to like the police then jumped on it. Did they wait because of that? Or do you know?
I think that part of it was because they weren't allowed to file the police report, and part of it was because they knew he was grieving and they didn't know if he just wanted alone time. They thought for sure he was going to show up for this trip, that even if he just needed that breather, because he would sometimes not communicate for days because he was introverted, like he was studying, he was taking a moment, whatever. But they all agree there is absolutely no way he would not have shown up for that trip for Alexis because he was so excited about it. But I think a big part of the not reporting it was that he did sometimes not communicate, and the fact that his car was like still there, and that he is an adult, and you do have to kind of have some definite proof the adult was missing before police will take it seriously.
I wonder what about this case, though, made the police take it seriously when they did. Like, that he's young. He could have, people just change their minds about trips. People change their mind about relationships, whatever. Yeah. Whatever they would say, Yeah. I'm wondering what it was that...
I think it was the persistence of Randy. He was like, my son's missing. We're going to find him. If you're not going to help me, I'll organize searches on my own. And he did. He always was, every free moment he was searching for his son. So I mentioned the smiley face killer earlier. The investigators did consider this a possibility because, again, he preyed on intoxicated college-aged men and then would toss their bodies into local rivers. As I mentioned, there was a river right next to where all this happened. Now, the retired New York City detectives that had spent more than 10 years investigating the scenes of the 40 so-called drownings associated with the smiley face killer, at each one of those crime scenes, they found a smiley face painted along the riverbank, and they did not see that anywhere near the river. That was where Brian was. And so some were like, well, maybe they just haven't found it yet. And the detectives are like, that's unlikely. He made it known that he was the killer.
Yeah.
Like, he left his mark. And they weren't even sure that Brian was dead. They had no proof that he was dead. There was no blood at the bar. There was no altercation. There was no body. There was no nothing. And there was no evidence of him leaving. Nothing. Yeah. So the FBI did an entirely separate investigation, though, to determine again about the smiley face killer, because they said he did fit the MO, right? He was intoxicated. He was by the river. He was this college student. It was the same time frame, but they also concluded it was not him.
When he went the way not to go back into the bar, did they ever see him again on any other feed of the bar?
No, and there wasn't really a camera down there, so they said he could have accidentally turned that way and then turned around. You know what I mean? Like, there's no evidence of what he did because the next camera is inside the bar. And he was not seen inside the bar again. Right. But he wasn't seen leaving the bar. So.
And then nothing at the construction site. No. Could he have fallen in a pit?
Well, they looked. They searched that pit. They searched the construction site. It was a very new site. They searched the pit. They hadn't poured concrete, so that wasn't a thing. They searched all of the dumpsters. They searched the campus dumpsters because there had been another guy in the area that had been found in a dumpster. But they determined that was a totally separate thing.
Oh my God.
He wasn't in the river. Like, they searched open fields, like empty fields. They searched those.
I really want to go there. I really want to go and see, like, because
the bar's not there anymore.
Oh, it's not? Like, they tore it down?
They relocated it somewhere else, but they tore it down. Yeah.
They tore down the building. It's just it's one of those, like, where could he have gone?
Yeah. So when I get to the theories, I'll talk about some stuff because it is just so insane. Like, where is he? So I mentioned the investigators followed up on a tip in Michigan. So that tip had come from a young woman who was on a drive. She was driving through Michigan. She had stopped. This is all allegedly. She had stopped at a diner and was eating and waited on a man who she said looked just like Brian. His name tag, according to her, even read Brian S. She was afraid to ask the question, so she called the police instead. When the police tried to follow up, the restaurant owners were very coy. They claimed no one named Brian worked there. So this woman named Lori Davis, she had never met Brian, but she had seen Randy on the news talking about him, and she just felt like it was basically her calling to help with this. Like, she really wanted to help him find Brian. Like, she really connected with that emotional appeal.
Yeah.
And so she kind of became his rock, and she maintained the website of the Finding Brian stuff. And so when she heard this news from Randy that, hey, they saw this waiter, we need to go. And Randy was kind of hesitant. He's like, I don't want to go because what if that is Brian? And then I'm going to be really upset that he's been doing this to his family all this time. So it was kind of like a catch-22, right? Yeah. Like, if he didn't go, he couldn't confirm it was Brian. If he went and it wasn't, like, he just didn't want to go. Before she could go, though, the police called and said that they had confirmed that the waiter was not Brian. So they don't know what the deal with the
Brian?
Lady. They just said it was not Brian.
But she's like, but his name is Brian S. And they said there was no Brian that worked there. I'd go crazy. Can you confirm that it was a Brian?
I mean, he could have been spooked and left if that truly was him. But I mean, I don't know. People sometimes, unfortunately give tips because they just want to insert themselves.
That's true.
In a radio interview 18 months after Brian disappeared, Randy told the host he never understood why Brian went out on the night he disappeared. Like I mentioned, they had grabbed a steak dinner. Brian seemed extremely exhausted. He had pulled an all-nighter for the exams. He was still extremely upset about his mother's death. Renee, like I mentioned, was Brian's best friend. She was his confidant, his hero. She was literally the center of his universe, and losing her unraveled this tight family ties and kind of just thrust him and his dad together. They were never like super close. He was closest to his mom. So Randy just didn't understand, but I kind of get it. Like, you're sad, you're trying not to think about it. You want to blow off some steam, like, I don't know. Your buddy invites you out. You think you're just going to have a couple of drinks. It unravels very quickly. I mean, that's not the craziest thing, you know. I mean, especially when you're young. Nowadays, I could never. But back then, I mean, it didn't take much, right? Like, I don't know. I get it. Like, you're upset. You've lost your person. Like, you don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
So when she died, Randy was too distraught to sort through her things. He left them unmoved. He did the same when Brian disappeared a month later. By the fall of 2008, the reminders, memories, questions those items brought appeared to some to be choking and taunting Randy. He wrote frantic letters to William and Meredith, the two that were with Brian, and asked them to come forward if they knew anything, even if they had promised Brian they wouldn't, like as if he was going to disappear and told them. He started to call Lori several times a day. She said one afternoon he called her 30 times just to replay the scenarios. She said he needed a peace. He was a lost soul on this earth. He lost his wife, and now he's lost his son. In September 2008, however, Randy was killed in a freak accident.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He was in his yard clearing debris after a really heavy windstorm that had hit the area. A branch blew from a nearby tree and fatally struck him. He wasn't found till the next day. The neighbors found him and called it in. On his online obituary, someone left a note that said, "Dad, I love you. Love, Brian." And it said it was from the Virgin Islands. Now, of course, people were like, what is this? And so that got investigated, but it ended up being a hoax. The comment was left from a public computer in Ohio, and they confirmed it wasn't Brian. It was just some kid being an ass.
Dick.
Yeah. So Lori believes that Brian is dead and was killed over some misunderstanding, and that his body is still somewhere in the city. She said if he were alive, he never would have left his brother Derek to navigate a world without their parents alone. So for her, Randy dying and Brian not coming forward was her sign that she felt he was dead, because now Derek has lost his mom, his dad, and his brother. So she just felt like at that point, they're looking for our body. Shortly after Randy's death, Neil Rosenberg, which is the attorney for William, wrote to Don Corbett, a private investigator who had volunteered his time to help the family find Brian. And he wrote in regards to William refusing to take a lie detector test.
What?
Now, the attorney said that he instructed William not to take this lie detector test because William had already given all of the knowledge he had over and over and over, and there was no point for him to take this lie detector test. Mind you, everyone else took it. Randy took it. Everyone else took it. But he said, if Brian is alive, which is what I'm led to believe after speaking with the detective involved, then this is Brian and not William who is causing his family pain and hardship. Brian should come forward and end this. Neil maintained that William had nothing to hide and had already shared everything that he knew from the beginning and shouldn't have to do this test. But if you're not hiding anything, just take the fucking test. Like, they can't even be used in court most of the time. So, like...
They can't. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not lying, what are you worried about? But he never took it. So they could never convince him. So many people close to Brian have criticized William for not being more forthcoming. Derek was quoted in many interviews stating that as soon as the detective started getting involved, that's when William pretty much had no contact with anybody. I've always thought he definitely knows something, just won't come forward with it. At the time, Derek believed that there was still a possibility that Brian was alive and that William knew where he might have gone. If Brian did take off somewhere, if that is the case, we just always had a strong feeling that William would possibly know that. Alexis also thought that William was withholding information but believed that Brian was dead and did not run off, stating that she just couldn't imagine that he would have just done that, but she thinks William was involved.
So either way,
she didn't like William. She thought William was bad news from the very beginning. She never liked William to begin with.
Did she say why?
She just said it had like a bad kind of
just bad
vibe.
Juju. Yeah, okay.
In 2014, Columbus police said that they were receiving at least 2 tips a month on the case via the local Crime Stoppers hotline, though none of those tips were ever useful. Ugh. The evidence in the case filled 4 boxes of files. One of the original investigators, Andre Edwards, told Columbus Monthly in an interview that after an extensive review of camera footage at the Ugly Tuna Saloon from the night Brian disappeared, which was intended to rule out the idea that he could have left in disguise, he could say with 100% certainty that Brian did not leave via the escalator, which is the way people would leave to go out. So it is like so many people have watched this footage. He absolutely did not leave through the normal door.
Okay.
In 2020, a photograph of a homeless man...
And he also did not go back into the bar.
Right. They have no footage of him going in because it was closing time.
Right.
So he wouldn't have been able to be there very long if he had. In 2020, a photograph of a homeless man was sent from Mexico was sent to the FBI for facial recognition software to be used to determine if it was Brian. However, they determined it wasn't him. Now, police...
I saw that guy. It looks like him, though. It does.
So the police have stated that they have 3 theories of what happened, but they refuse to discuss them. They won't even tell the family what they think their theories are, and to this day, they still have not said what their theories are.
Okay.
Derek does not believe his brother intentionally disappeared. He was going to be a great doctor. He was going to do all these things. He wasn't into drugs. I don't think he would just take off and never contact us again. He wouldn't have done that to us. I'm afraid that something bad happened and we may never find out what it was. Derek still believes that William knows more than he is letting on. He said, I don't know William very well, but I always thought something was off with him. He said the way he talked about my brother after he went missing, kind of in a negative way. Ooh. I wouldn't expect that from someone whose friend just vanished, especially when they were together, like out. If William knew something, I would have shared it. I would hope he would have shared it. I deserve to know what happened. Since Randy's passing, however, Derek's mostly remained silent. Friends say he just needed a break from the pain and all this overwhelming and this hopeless task of finding Brian, and now both of his parents are gone. But man, if I was Derek, I fucking get it, man. Like, your mother dies to a rare form of cancer. Not even a month later, your brother goes missing and hasn't been found, and now your father dies in a freak accident. That is a lot for a person to take in and to handle. Like, I don't know how he was keeping his shit together because, damn.
It's a lot.
So even though Derek took a step back, people on the internet with an interest in the case have not stopped. Like I mentioned, Lori Davis, she, again, never knew Brian personally, but she did feel really drawn to Randy, and she kept looking for him. And she said 3 years after Brian's disappearance and 6 months after Randy's death, she still wears a Where's Brian Shaffer button on her jacket and searches the internet for clues every night. She searches for people posting, for the theories, for forums. She said, I want to respect the family's wishes for privacy, but I ask myself if Randy would want me to continue searching, and I know that he would. I think we're all just kind of lost right now. So I mentioned the Ugly Tuna Saloon was torn down and it reopened in another location. It's called Ugly Tuna 2. But when they tore down the building, they didn't find anything.
They didn't.
I mean, I'm sure it would have been moved way before then if there was something. Okay. So these are the theories from the people on the internet who have researched this case.
Okay.
These are not official.
They are not from the police.
These are some of the
web sleuths,
ones that have been agreed upon the most.
Okay.
And I'm just going to talk about a few of them. In the show notes, there's a link to Reddit. He has a whole Reddit thread that you can go on and see.
Oh my God.
There's, I mean, literally over 100 theories of what could have happened, what people think. So I'm just going to talk about a few.
Okay.
Several felt that he most likely left through that exit that led to the construction site, that he left when the band left with their groupies, because the band and the groupies took that exit. So if he had left with them, it would have made sense that he was able to get out because they would have helped him or led him, or he would have been with other people. And they think that he got out. He went out when they went out, but that he went to the Wendy's, which was nearby, like the fast food chain, and ran into foul play from there, because they said this wasn't a great neighborhood. Robberies happened all the time. All kinds of things happened. And I mean, I kind of get it. Like, you're drunk, you're hungry, you want to go get fast food. But at the same time, why wouldn't he have been on camera at Wendy's? I feel like that would have been very easy to prove.
They would have seen him walking on the street.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Okay.
But the second theory that has to involve the band is that he did leave with the band and the groupies, that he, in his intoxicated state, started hitting on one of the women, and it pissed someone off in the band. They may have gotten into altercation that just got out of hand. They unintentionally killed him. They got scared. They put the body in the van and took him wherever, right? Like out of the city. That was a really popular one, that he went out with the band and the group and was hitting on one of the women.
It just seems like the whole band and the groupies would have to keep that secret forever. That seems crazy. Okay, go ahead.
Some believe that Brian was attacked or killed inside the saloon, the Ugly Tuna Saloon, and his body was hidden. That's the theory I was trying to find, where it was talking more about where he would have been, but I couldn't find more. But they say that there were multiple ways for staff to remove the body: in a service elevator, the garbage chute, or even taken out in a bag or a container.
Oh, wow.
Where you wouldn't have seen a body. You know, it just looks like staff members walking out or band members walking out, and then or whatever. Like,
dude, that just seems like the most plausible.
However, the bar staff was interviewed. They were never charged, and no forensic evidence was ever found. Other theories, and this one I've also seen in several places, is they felt that William and Brian were actually more than friends. That Brian was they said that Brian was experimenting with his sexuality, and that the argument may have been because William found out that Brian was going to propose to Alexis on this trip, and it upset him, and they got into this altercation, and it got out of hand. Again, that's speculation. They couldn't prove it. I'm not sure how Meredith wouldn't have known that William did this, unless she was in on it. But then again, she would have had to keep the story straight. But that was a very popular one as well, that Brian and William were actually more than friends. William got upset that he was going to be proposing to Alexis and not breaking things off with her, and they got into this altercation at the bar.
I mean, yeah, these are all plausible.
There are so many theories. Like I said, another big theory is the reason the construction was happening is because this bar was located in the Gateway Plaza, and they were planning on building all of these fancy projects. And they said, these people on the internet feel like the project owners had a lot of money, and they had instructed the bar, who was known to have problems, if something happens, don't call the police, call us. Because they didn't want to lower the value of their property and their projects with crime. So like a dead body obviously would throw a wrench into selling the building or the property, because they wanted the crime rate to look lower than it was. So that was a really big theory, is that the owners of the Gateway threw money to keep people quiet, and they handled the body, which is why there was no evidence of it leaving the bar. They took care of it. They got it out of there. They took care of the evidence, whatever. Now.
And they deep cleaned the bar so that there was no...
I mean, they had 3 days.
They had 3 days.
So, I mean, we know people with lots of money can do lots of things that they want that are above the law sometimes. But that was a really big theory, because they were building this construction. Did
you watch The Beast in Me? Oh, yeah.
So now, I don't know if you've ever listened to the True Crime Garage podcast. They started this podcast essentially for this case, because it was a local case to them. And they talk about all of these tips that came in, the theories. They had an interview with Randy. They interview locals. Like, they have a 6-part series on his disappearance. Like, they are so passionate about this case. Now, I will tell you, their episodes are behind a paywall. But if this case is interesting to you, it's worth subscribing to, even if you just listen to this case. There's 6 parts to it. They do a very, very, very deep dive. Like I said, they're local. They're local to the case. So they can go and interview people on site.
Wow.
And talk to the police. And so
it's called what?
True Crime Garage.
Okay.
And I have the episode in the show notes, but it's their February 14th, 2016 is when the first part came out. Like I said, there's 6 parts. Now, one of the things they talk about is that there were actually 10 psychics that had tips about this case.
Wait, 10?
Excuse me, 15.
15 psychics that were hired or who came forward?
10 said he was alive. 5 said he was not. A few of the ones that said he said a girl involved with Brian knew more than she was telling. They said several said a girl knew more than she was telling, and I believe 2 said he had been watched by someone at the bar that night. So, I mean, I would assume the girl that they're referring to would be Alexis, but she genuinely seemed very upset. I will say she got engaged and got married not too long after his disappearance. I mean, not the same year, but she moved on rather quickly, in my opinion. You know, I'm not judging, I guess, kind of. It just seems weird. Like, she was so in love and so distraught, and then she's engaged and getting married. Derek was also getting married to his longtime girlfriend. So he was able to move forward with his life. Basically, everyone involved with Brian started moving forward with their lives. But, the psychic said that, there was a girl close to him who wasn't telling what she knew, and that someone had been watching him at the bar that night. Now, the footage does not show anyone watching him at the bar. The footage for most of it shows him having a really good time. They do see the argument between William and Brian. It wasn't physical. They could see that they were clearly having a very intense conversation, and Brian walk off, and then they were not together for the rest of the night that the camera saw. So anyways, True Crime Garage podcast, they do that deep dive. They have the 6 parts. They do interviews with lots of locals and Randy and all that stuff.
How much is the paywall?
I don't remember off the top. It's not very much. I mean, it's like a Spotify subscription or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you could probably find it free somewhere.
Yeah.
So to this day, no one knows what happened to Brian. If he disappeared voluntarily, if he was murdered, if he was kidnapped, no one has there's not been a single trace of him. Not a spot. Like, no one has spotted him. No one's used his phone. No one has used his credit cards. His apartment was never touched. I did read somewhere that his apartment had got broken into, but then I couldn't find out why. I don't know if it was like a random break-in or they had just seen it hadn't been occupied or what. But anyways, but other than that, nothing out of the ordinary, right? Like, no one's come forward and said they did anything, they saw anything, they were angry with him. Like, for the most part, he was a good kid. He went to school. He studied hard. He was trying to become a doctor. He wanted to help people. He wanted to live like this island life. He didn't really drink that much other than like this night, and he didn't do drugs, and he was going to get proposed to his girlfriend, and like he had this whole life planned. And yeah, his mom dying, some did say, well, would he have committed suicide? And the investigator said, well, usually when someone commits suicide, they want their body to be found. So where would he have even gone to commit suicide where no one would have found him? That doesn't make sense. That he would have like intentionally gone somewhere where no one would have ever found him just to commit suicide. And it was weird that his phone was off. So anyways, they don't think he actually committed suicide. They ruled that out.
And how would he get to that place? Because he didn't have his car.
Right, and he was extremely intoxicated.
And then no one saw him.
Yeah, no one saw him leave.
And there were no videos of him walking down the street. So where did he go? It's like,
and that is, I think, a part of why they also think the police may have helped cover some of this up is because, like, how did nothing catch him on camera? How did nothing catch someone taking a body-sized bag out? If it was in the garbage chute, wouldn't it have been in the dumpster? Like, all of these, like, they present all of these things, and then there's contradictory facts or contradictory things. So, like, it's hard to say.
That's true.
Like, so who knows what happened? Who knows if it was one person, if multiple people were involved?
But
no one knows. There's literally
3 days.
nothing.
3 days.
Yeah.
That's such a long time. A lot could have been cleaned up.
Yeah.
Hidden, taken care of, like you said.
Altered.
Right.
And again, this was flip phone days. They didn't have GPS. They couldn't track his phone through GPS.
But his phone was off anyway.
Supposedly. His phone was off, and then it rang, and that was a computer glitch. So,
which is so weird.
Yeah. To this day, again, no one has heard or seen from Brian. They don't know what happened. His case is still active. He would have been 46 this year.
Wow.
The FBI routinely puts out age progression photos of him on the internet to show people what he would look like. He has brown hair. He has very distinctive eyes because they're hazel, but on his left eye, his iris has a dot on it, a very like distinctive dot. He's 6'2". He has a Pearl Jam tattoo on his upper right arm. The police do say if you have any information on Brian or his disappearance or anything like that, just to contact your local FBI office, any of them, because the case is with the FBI. It is still open and active, and they are still taking tips to this day. They just have no idea where to even go because not a single tip has been useful. And I don't know what their theories are. The police won't reveal it. I don't know how they could be much different than the ones online. So,
yeah. Well, wow. That's a good story. And I hope that if somebody is listening that knows something, that they say something like that's.
I just don't understand. It blows my mind. And there was a similar case, they said, where another college student, I don't know if it was from that college or not, had disappeared without a trace around the same time. But, like, how do you just disappear? Like, no trace, no scent. The canine and the cadaver dogs can't pick them up.
That is the craziest. I know that they could have, like, cleaned it. They could have cleaned it.
Yeah, but no security footage on any of the neighboring. There's no way that they could have altered the neighboring bars. No evidence of him at the construction site.
I wonder if they looked at footage of the bar after that night, like, you know, to see if
the cameras could have conveniently have been off. Who knows?
Yeah, like so that they could see if there was any kind of weird cleaning happening at odd hours, you know.
But I mean, again, they searched everything. They searched the empty lands. They searched the sewer system. They searched the river. They searched the college, hospitals, jails, homeless encampments, homeless shelters. Nothing. Not a single trace of him. No phone calls. They did say he made a phone call around 11:37 to a friend named Brandon. They didn't say what that phone call was about, but that was earlier in the night. So that wouldn't have even like explained his disappearance. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that would have really solved the case. But other than that last phone call to Alexis at 10, whatever, and then the one to Brandon at 11, there's not been any other phone calls from his phone. It hasn't pinged anywhere other than that supposed glitch 6 months after he disappeared. Yeah. So.
Well, it's a good reminder that you're doing the story again, and I hope something comes.
Yes.
Something comes up.
Yes. I hope for Derek's sake they.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that video. I mean, I can still remember, like, yep, he goes back into the bar after talking to these girls. And then that's it. That's like the last
and like I
footage.
said, I think it's really weird the girls say they don't remember anything about before or after the conversation, or they don't remember the conversation, but they remember stuff before and after. And they remember that he asked for their phone number, which I think is weird because why would he want their number when, you know.
They remember that. They don't remember anything else he said.
But it doesn't, I mean, there's no proof that he did ask for their number. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I hope for his brother's sake, they do eventually find something.
Someone comes forward.
if you watch this case online or in any of the many, many TV shows done about it, the footage is crazy. It shows him in the bar, never shows him leave. Like, he just literally vanishes.
He just vanishes. Ugh. Well, again, if you see something, say something. Like, that's...
Yes.
Please. For families.
Yes. I mean, even like that woman in Michigan, maybe she really genuinely believed it. I mean, she tried.
She did. She absolutely
did what she was supposed to do. So
she absolutely did. So anyway, good for her.
Yes.
You know. Anyway, it's almost Christmas.
Yes.
I know you're not excited. You're all yes.
No.
Yeah, it's great.
Then it'll be back to Halloween.
Huh?
I said then it'll be back to Halloween.
I think this is supposed to post Christmas Day.
Oh. Okay, great.
So
it's gonna be great.
We'll see about that. Enjoy. I know this is a season that's not very easy for a lot of us. So know you're not alone. And you know, if you need something, reach out. We're always here. And yeah,
you can message us on Facebook, on our website. You can leave us voice messages on our website.
Yes, you can.
We don't judge.
No,
we will try to help you the best we can.
I know we sound like we judge on this podcast.
I don't normally judge a lot, but I feel like
I think we do a pretty good job. No judgment.
Sometimes there's things that I just feel need to be
judgy
a little bit.
It's okay.
I try not to. I don't judge the victims ever.
We are not perfect.
Yeah.
We are not perfect. But anyway, we love y'all.
Yes.
Happy holidays. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Merry Christmas, all of that. And we will see you next week. Bye.